Hello, dear radio amateurs. Once again, this is Çağlar Akıngör, Victor Alpha 2, Alpha Kilo Golf, Tango Alpha 1 Uniform Hotel, and I'm here with you with my second video about this Hotel Whiskey 2036 Heathkit VHF mobile radio. So as you may remember, in my first video, we talked a little bit about the Heathkit company, about this radio here and its commercial background. We briefly looked at its technical specifications and also how it is operated. So now, if you like, let's focus a bit more on the electronics aspect of this radio. I will talk to you about what kind of problems this one had when I first got it and what did I do to fix them. And while discussing all this, I will also be sharing bits and pieces of, technical information about this specific transceiver and what type of circuits we have inside. So first of all, I must say this device, of course, comes from a flea market. Okay, and I can't say it's a very rare device. Why I'm specifically mentioning this here, because you should know these are radios that have been sitting for years in attics, basements, boxes, storage rooms, etc. And they were produced in significant quantities, and so they have no collection values or no extraordinary, values. But if you look at the online sites, you will see that, especially in these last couple of years, there was a sudden surge in their prices, especially after appearing on a TV show. Everything that was branded Heathkit and that was in this, petrol green became incredibly expensive, tripled or quadrupled in price. So you should know that I bought this one here for a money I could call pocket change, okay? And I even wanted to buy the manual, but the guy wanted more money for the manual than the radio itself. So I said no, thanks. We already have it on internet, and I took the transceiver and left. But it's funny. But there's one thing, technically speaking, okay, or let's speak in terms of amateur curiosity. This radio reflects very well its period, okay, its era. So from this perspective, it's a nice one and interesting one to work on. Okay, so now this device as well probably waited somewhere for at least, 30, 40 years after being assembled and used by the amateur who first, purchased and assembled it. So, and we see the effects of this waiting on the device everywhere. Okay. That's the first thing, the aging. So, what kind of problems it had? Okay, what kind of malfunctions it had when I first it. First of all, I couldn't open the case. Okay, there was a screw in the back that was spinning freely, so I couldn't open the top for a long time. Then I took the risk and applied voltage. I saw that it was receiving and transmitting, at least basically. So, although the transmitted sounds, was very muffled and it was sending a bizarre tone, I understood that it was working. So there was hope. Then I realized that the device was a bit of deaf also. Okay, so first of all, in order to get inside the radio, I bought a special, screw remover head. Worked on the screw at the back, opened it up finally, and I checked it with a signal generator and measured the output, which was very low, about 4 watts instead of 10 watts, as it was said in the manual. So, secondly, there was a problem with this DTMF microphone. It was constantly sending a tone like a capacitor that is discharging. And thirdly, I couldn't get into any repeater here. So just like it is in Turkey or elsewhere, now we have tones with all the repeaters, but this radio was not sending CTCSS tones at all. Okay, so I couldn't get into repeaters. And when I checked with the signal generator, I saw that, as I said, it was insensitive, literally. It didn't hear anything after minus 97 the dBm or so. Okay, so the scratch was not opening for a signal that was less strong than minus 97 dBm. So let me in a comparison. I have a KDK Japanese transceiver from the same period. That one, its clutch was opening at minus 119 or something. So you can understand how bad it was. The other thing, there were also cosmetic issues and so on, the lamps, and also I changed all the chemicals, of which by which I mean electrolytic capacitors, tantalum capacitors, etc. So that's normal. It's been 40, 50 years. These dry out and create a lot of problem. And finally, after all this, the radio became, it just got its normal specs again, normal performance again after all this work. So let's now look at it closely. Okay. So um, we will go over the issues, by order. So this is the bottom side of the device, okay, and this is the part corresponding to the bottom surface. So inside the casing, you have the speaker, and this board is housing multiple circuits. So this is the DC power in, okay, with the filter and everything. And there's the regulate voltage regulators on this part, and that part is the transmitter part actually. Okay, they are all in the same board. It's not the power amplifier. The power amplifier is here. You can see the transistors inside, and this part is only the transmitter, and you adjust it by adjusting the coils. You see them, you adjust them by order. It's a bit tricky, but it is doable. So you see that there's a jack. You pull it off, you remove and you put a dummy load there, and you start by adjusting those coils one by one. The only interesting thing here is the last three coils have a strange interaction. So you have to go over this adjustment like 5, 6, 7 times. And what's interesting is it is easier to connect a multimeter on those test points and adjust it like this rather than using an oscilloscope and looking at signal level. It's easier to do it by looking at the voltage, like if you don't have an oscilloscope or something. Well, it worked fine. Okay. After trying a couple of times with the scope, I said, okay, I go back to multimeter, and I did it more easily. That's an interesting part. Okay. The other thing I can say here is, as I said, the last section was tricky. So you repeat it 6, 7 times, yeah. And after finishing, you reconnect the connector there, and finally you perform a final test. So I tuned that one, the output to 10 watts. Okay, I've seen on forums that some people manage to get even more power out of it. Like some claim they got 13 watts, some claim even 18 watts or so. But honestly, I didn't push it further. Okay, so I could adjust the power amplifier as well, but I didn't do that. You have to remove the heat sinks, etc. To I got 10 watts, and it's mentioned in the manual, and I left it there. Just one thing, okay. To be honest, I don't understand, how much difference there will be between transmitting 10 watts or 18 watts when it comes to basic local communication. Okay, you just say hello to somebody on the repeater. So what does it make? I mean, if you have 50 watts or 5 watts. So I left it at the original spec. Besides, remember, these are very old components. Okay, transistors inside, you'll see inside are used transistors. They have already been used for I don't know how many years. So um, if you burn one out, go try find a replacement. Okay, so really something like these are a 2N something, 2SC something, 2SD something. Go find a replacement. Good luck finding one because they sell for like 20, $30 each, which is more expensive than the whole device itself, and it makes the repairs pointless. Okay, so I just let it like that. In the remaining section, you have the transmit audio chain, okay, the audio amplifier, microphone amplifier, and you have those three trimmer resistors there to adjust the tones. See, those are the ones. You adjust the CT/CSS tones for three channels. For you have three tones basically. That's what I'm trying to say. By adjusting those trimmers, you connect your frequency meter on the test point, and you observe the frequency. I thought it wasn't sending CT/CSS, but I understood that the gentleman who assembled this device never used the tones back in the old days, so he just, he just positioned the trimmers at zero ohm position basically. As I played with them, suddenly I started to get the tones, which was, of course, very good news for me. The other thing is you have the reference oscillator of the radio here, the 10 megahertz oscillator, and you see those integrated circuits. Those divide the 10 megahertz signal to make it 833 hertz, okay, to send it to the phase comparator at the other side. But what's important is the frequency of this master oscillator was a bit off around 200 um, hertz or so. So I readjusted it, okay, so after you know some heating and so. And there's also a deviation adjustment there, okay. That's the only adjustment I couldn't really make because I don't have a deviation meter, and it's a bit of a hassle to get one. They are expensive, and you rarely use them. So the Heathkit manual says this adjustment is made, by leaving the potentiometer at 11 o'clock position when you look from the front side of the device, and so that's what I did. And I listened to my own transmission, and other amateurs also confirmed that the deviation was okay. So I left it as it is. Okay, another amateur friend checked it, sent me the records of the conversation. I found it adequate for my purpose. So I added something of an extra here. I added, basically a heatsink to extend the lifespan of that transistor. It was heating a bit too much. Okay, that's at least that's what I thought. Basically, just to recap, I readjusted, then increased the output power, replaced the filter capacitors with fresh ones, okay, those two you see there for the DC input. Also, I managed to restore the missing CT/CSS tones, okay, and for the microphone, yeah, the microphone issue was an issue in itself. We will see it in the next episode of uh, th these videos. So it will be in the third episode.